Warning, MF Uncensored contains adult language and discussion. Listener discretion is advised.
We're a couple of misfits. We're a couple of misfits. What's the matter with misfits? That's where we fit in. We're not Duffy and Dilly. Don't go around willy-nilly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to MF Uncensored. Don't forget, if you guys are listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, basically anywhere you guys get your podcast. You can also find more of our content on our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you find links to not only this show, but some of our other shows like the Multiverse Fancast and Cinematic Adventures. You'll also find links to our store, news, reviews, articles, and more, so make sure you guys check that out. That's themisfitfaction.com. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul. With me in the studio today is Rob. Rob, how art thou today?
Whoa, I love that literary introduction. Myself art
good. I do good stuff.
I likes the good stuff.
I do the goods. It's been a minute. It's been a while since an MF Uncensored rolled around. Yeah. Just for the record, we are doing this MF Uncensored because Ronnie sucks.
Yeah, he was supposed to be here about a half hour ago. Oh, no. Yeah, well, by the time we finish recording this, it'll be a half hour. He was supposed to be here to record our regular show, and Paul and I had like a half hour downtime, so we're like, let's record an MF Uncensored show.
So, Ronnie, if you're listening to this, we are mad at you.
And it's MF Uncensored, so we can tell you to
uncensor yourself.
See what we did there?
Eat a wiener. Got him again.
Ooh, burned.
So burned. Burnt wiener. Anyway. All right, so what are we talking about today, Rob?
I thought we would do our monthly check-in and say, what are we watching?
What are we? Are we in therapy today? Our monthly check-in.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Oh, shit. Not again.
We're talking about what are we watching, so we'll talk about movies and TV. Mm-hmm. What are we reading? And finally, what are we drinking? Mm-hmm. And
mostly water.
Oh, I got a good answer for that one.
Oh, good.
So, I thought, because we did this once before, and I think we both kind of enjoyed it. It gives us a chance to sort of, connect with some things that aren't superhero-related.
What do you mean filler episode? What are you talking about?
It's not filler.
What are you talking about, a filler episode?
No, usually a filler episode is when, they introduce a new character or they go on vacation somewhere.
And they jump the shark sometimes, quite literally. But, so as Rob said, it is, what are you up to? What's going on, man?
So, what do you want to start with?
I don't know.
You're the host.
I'm the hostess with the least at this point. Obviously, you and I, we tend to talk about our movies and TV. So you want to start there?
Sure.
With what are you watching?
All right. So a movie I watched recently it came out about 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I am one of my favorite movies growing up as a teenager was Chevy Chase's Fletch. I watched Fletch easily 80, 90 times. And I had my good friend Matt, and Matt and I, we would watch it all the time. We could quote it endlessly. We knew the entire thing heart by heart. We would talk in quotes from Fletch. And Fletch Lives came out a couple of years after that, and it wasn't very good. It was okay. It was just good to check in. Yeah. And then for a long, long time, there was rumors of different Fletch reboots. Kevin Smith had his claws in it for a while.
Never heard of him.
I forget whatever's not Jason Mewes. One of the guys that he always works with was going to do it for a while.
Jeff Anderson?
No, he was My Name is Earl, that guy.
Oh man, this is going to drive me crazy because I know the name.
I'll let you look that up.
But
he was attached to it for a while.
Him.
And finally, it got remade recently with Jon Hamm in the role. And they filmed Confess Fletch, which is the first of what's the name? You got it?
Jason Lee, that's
it.
It's driving me crazy.
I knew it wasn't Jason Mewes. Jason Lee, yeah, and he would have been great too. But Jon Hamm took it over, and they filmed Confess Fletch, and that's the first book in the Fletch series. And I've read a couple of them.
For a word that I don't ever hear in common, discussion.
Yeah.
I've now heard the word Fletch more times in the last not even 4 minutes.
Erwin Fletcher is your main character. This was a really fun movie. Fletch he comes home from vacation and finds a dead person in the house that he's Airbnb-ing from someone. He's accused of the murder, and it just it goes into art dealers and them trying to figure out. Yeah, it's fun. It was a good time. Marcia Gay Harden was in it.
Oh, I know.
Greg Mottola directed it. And it's, if you want to have just an hour and it's only an hour and a half. If you want to have an hour and a half of just laid back, fun, kind of slightly goofy humor. Jon Hamm really fit well into the role of Fletch. Like he does, like Chevy Chase played it too goofy at times, and he also he donned disguises and everything. Whereas Fletch doesn't really do that in the novel. This is a more faithful adaptation, and even the way the movie ended indicated they want to do more Fletch with Jon Hamm. So I had a really good time watching this, and I would totally rewatch it. So I highly recommend it. Have you ever seen the first one?
I have not.
Really?
No, not really. I've never even really heard of it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I know of it, but
Chevy Chase is more of an 80s staple than a 90s staple.
Chevy Chase is also just kind of a
yeah, he's a problem guy.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, he is.
And I know he's been done, he's done conventions and stuff. People just never speak nicely about him. And for somebody who's the goofy kind of fun,
oh yeah,
he was
Caddyshack.
He was the 80s dad.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted him to be their dad in the 80s. You got your vacation movies, even more recently Hot Tub Time Machine, and he just seemed like such. But then in real life he's such an asshole.
Yeah, I heard he's a douchebag.
Any other actors that you've heard are just completely unpleasant in real life?
I'm sure there are. Yeah,
because that's always so. Full disclosure, we're recording this on a Saturday. It usually comes out on the time of recording.
I'm googling actors who are assholes.
Yeah. So to pull back the curtain. The day after we record this, I'm going to Comic-Con.
Oh, yes.
And one of the things about Comic-Con is getting to meet. Now, I've had some great experiences meeting actors and stuff like that. I met Ernie Hudson. I met Matt Ryan, who played Constantine. And he was one of the coolest because we went to a smaller convention in Jersey, producer Mel and I. And there wasn't a huge, monstrous crowd, lines everywhere. It was very, I guess intimate's the better word for it. And they had a ton of people from Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow.
Cool.
I only went because Matt Ryan posted about it. And for those of you guys who don't know, he plays John Constantine on the show. Constantine and Legends of Tomorrow and all that.
Check out our previous issue.
Oh, yeah. Check out our episode of Multiverse Fancast. It was a lot of fun. But so we went, and we were the only ones online at one point. And when we got up there, he was like, hey.
This is for
Matt Ryan.
Really?
I think either we were the first ones. There were other people online, but at the time, they gave us time to chat with them. And if you've ever been to a convention, sometimes you'll get a time to talk with somebody, but usually it's very move it, move it.
Yeah, there's usually a publicist that's trying to shoo you along.
Yeah, so first we saw the publicist who took our money, what we wanted. I got a photo of him, and I did signature pictures, and he took 8-9 pictures with me, and just he's like, yo, what do you want to do? You want to do a funny one? You want to do a serious one? And did a bunch, and he chatted for a few minutes. He told Melanie to stop being so mean to me because I said she was making fun of me for how excited I was to meet him.
Yeah,
and so it was a lot of fun, but I feel that's the worst thing that could the whole don't meet your heroes type thing.
I met Jesse Eisenberg, and he was kind of a dick.
I've heard. Well, he's also just kind of awkward.
Even
he
was
in interviews,
kind of
he's very socially awkward. And I can tell. I feel he's not like on purpose, almost intentionally,
almost like Spectrum-ish.
I wouldn't be surprised, especially
on my list here of people actors who are secretly assholes. People you would expect, like Ed Norton, Christian Bale, Katherine Heigl. Seth Rogen has talked about that one.
Yeah. Ad nauseum.
Terrence Howard, which is why he's only stuck to Iron Man 1.
Well, no, that was a whole issue with Robert Downey Jr. Yeah,
Tommy Lee Jones. People you would expect.
Well, it's funny because
Reese Witherspoon.
Let me ask you then. So, if you get into a job like acting, right, where you're creating a craft that's made for public consumption, actors, athletes, even people who are in the spotlight, and they're doing something that engages a very large audience. Yeah. How much privacy do you think that they're actually entitled to given their job? So
that's a tricky question because that's actually this week's kind of She-Hulk. They got into that. Yeah, I
because let's say you have an actor like Daniel Day-Lewis, who only has done 5-6 movies in his entire life, but he's
just brilliant,
the thespian. He is the definition of I do this for the craft and the art, not for any
he's
of that
an
other
artist.
Stuff. So, but then it makes you wonder. So many of these actors are great. You'll see them going to children's hospitals. Especially in Marvel, that's a very big thing. They'll go in costume and stuff like that. I wanna if I see a celebrity out, I want to respect their privacy, but at the same time, I kind of want to be like, yo.
Yeah.
You know who I saw out in public once? Tim Blake Nelson.
Oh.
The leader. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. He lived in D.C. at the same time I did. and he was
See,
same grocery store.
I know him from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
I know him from the Incredible Hulk,
Right.
Yeah, and other things, but obviously, and now he's
cool.
coming back.
But yeah, Chevy Chase, it's a sad because like the cast of Community never has anything nice to say about him.
No, which is and now they're getting their movie.
Yes,
So
and they're like, nope, he's not in it.
Yeah. So
Which
did you ever watch Community?
I saw like 1 or 2 episodes, and it was great. I loved it, but I never got around to watching more. And I don't knock anyone who calls it genius because it looks like it's really smart.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I never got into it. Same with like The Office and stuff like that. Modern Family, like I don't know why. It's just like I'm not a big sitcom kind of guy.
I am not either, which that'll segue into a television one, actually, something I'm watching.
Okay, go for
I
it.
don't have a lot to say about it other than go watch Abbott Elementary. Now,
So Mel and I started
Oh,
to.
you
We
did?
watched the first couple of episodes, and like we liked it enough
Yeah.
because obviously Melanie worked in a school. I'm part of the school community, so like we chuckled at it and we enjoyed it. It's so weird because like. Rob, obviously you're a teacher. We won't say where, but you're a teacher, and we live in a very nice area, a very nice community where even though teachers are still and schools tend to still be missing stuff, they still, for the most part around here, they're very well taken care of to a certain degree. And there's always room for improvement anywhere. But it's funny watching a show like Abbott Elementary where it's like they're. The principal's like a social media star and stuff like that.
having worked in an urban school district,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife works in an urban school district, it is pretty accurate.
Yes,
Yeah,
I can only imagine.
I have to say, and I looked up too where the I forget the lead actress. She's also the head writer of the show and showrunner. Her mother was an elementary school teacher, which is why the show feels amazingly authentic. My gosh, I have never seen a show that more resembled what teaching looks like.
Oh, I bet. Does that ever bother you though with shows like when they are too reflective of your career choice?
No, I actually appreciate it because they actually get it right. Like, movies like Dangerous Minds and Dead Poets Society. Yeah, like Dead Poets Society, I love it, but he only had one class.
Yeah.
We're his other 4 preps.
Right.
There's so many of them that are not authentic and they make teaching look like something that it's not.
I couldn't watch The Rookie on ABC with
Okay.
Nathan Fillion as like a 43-year-old
Oh, yeah.
rookie.
Oh, that's true because you get there's a lot more cop shows than there are teacher shows.
It's wild sometimes. And a lot of them are not realistic.
I see where you're going with this now.
But The
yeah.
Rookie, surprisingly, the only exception with The Rookie is it's so much busier and like they still glamorize like some of the other things, but like for the most part, it was super accurate to the point where I didn't want to watch it anymore. Not to say anything, not to say anything against the cast or the staff or anything like that, because the cast is fantastic. I'm a huge Nathan Fillion fan.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really love Nathan
Absolutely.
Fillion. But I was like, I watch these shows to disconnect. I had the same problem with Supergirl, where Supergirl got so quote unquote relevant
Right.
or so woke, I guess is the term.
Okay.
I watch a superhero show to see smash, smash, bang, bang.
Yes.
Do I enjoy a deeper
Not for social commentary that is going on and on for the entire hour.
especially when it becomes the only focus of the show? And especially like the CW, they're also famous for look at what we're
Yeah, I
doing.
know.
That's why I stopped watching Glee. And yeah, come at me. I liked Glee. I really enjoyed the first.
I admit I watched like the first 3 seasons and was into it.
I watched the first couple of seasons and I really enjoyed it. But then it was just too much.
It was.
Like
For me, it was when they started. Every week was a different theme week.
Yeah.
It's Britney week. It's Michael Jackson week. They were shoehorning.
Glee
it.
was the perfect example of here's a show where when we find one thing that people like, we make it a thing always.
So to come back to your question, I like a show that's authentic if it allows levity for my job.
Right.
Because with Abbott Elementary, we watch it on a Friday because it comes out Wednesday night, and then we have Hulu and we watch it Friday when we have some time, and it's the perfect end to our week because we just laugh about it. Like there was just one quick throwaway joke where one of the teachers, she was like, "Can you quick watch my class? I haven't peed in 4 hours." Like
stuff like that.
A joke that I think only a teacher could truly appreciate.
I liked Brooklyn Nine-Nine because
For that.
it was close enough to the realistic aspects, but also like funny and fun. And, they still joke about paperwork or they joke about like taking sick time. And so it makes me chuckle with stuff like that. But
So, my next movie choice, I think, is one you'll appreciate.
I don't appreciate it.
The Northman.
So I want to see it, and I had the option to see it when we were going to Italy on the plane.
Oh no.
I knew
Good
enough.
call.
I knew enough about it to be like, I'm pretty sure at one point she wipes blood on somebody's face, and it's not from where you think it might be.
Oh,
But-
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
and also I would say watch it on the biggest screen you can.
Yeah. I do want to watch it. The cast looks fantastic. It's a lot of big names,
Yeah,
a lot of up and comers.
Alexander Skarsgård is the lead, who is just ripped beyond belief. Holy cow!
Well, he got ripped for Tarzan. Remember that? He
did that.
He did Tarzan.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
and he was like shredded for it.
Nicole Kidman is in it, and she plays his mom. It kind of took me out of the movie a little bit every time I saw her because
It's
she has such a
tough.
modern look to her. It was like I went into this movie. I watched it at home on a big screen, and I went into it knowing it was by Robert Eggers, who had done like The Witch and The Lighthouse. So I knew I was going to get something really off kilter.
Yeah.
It was a lot more mainstream than I thought it was.
I've heard.
And I have to say, I was going into it also going, all right, just watch it to watch it. And did I love the hell out of this movie. It was engrossing. It was thoughtful. It had realistic action to it. The characters were awesome. And I also found out it's from knowing Robert Eggers, this shouldn't surprise anybody, from an actual old Viking story that was the template for Shakespeare's Hamlet. Which I'm like, oh my gosh. So now I got to include that in my class.
I have a book upstairs. I think Melanie got it for me. It's like the Viking Age. I have a couple of Viking books because for those of you guys who don't know, I'm Swedish and Norwegian on my mother's side. So I love that kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of Norse mythology. But yeah, a lot of the poems and the stories, they've been they've led to a lot of other interpretations,
Yeah.
and it's really cool and interesting stuff. And Norse mythology is definitely like I've studied all sorts of mythologies. I just enjoy it. It's something that I just get passionate about. Producer Melanie's wild about it. Like she's very big into Greek and Roman and stuff like that. Like when we were in Italy, she was in her glory. Like the knowledge she would just drop on me out of nowhere was always fun. But I really want to see it. I got to just sit down and devote the time to it, unfortunately.
And also watch it on, like, if you can stream it on either a high quality, or I watched it on, I like to get all my stuff on Blu-ray, so you get that really high risk, because the cinematography is just breathtaking on this. I think it's going to be up for awards at the end of the year.
Absolutely. It's just a shame it didn't do as well.
No.
Movies in general just haven't. Like, that movie Bros just came out. Have you heard?
I know. I really wanted to see that. It looked hysterical.
Like, obviously we are not the target audience, but it looks clever. It looks well written. But I think the guy who wrote it, he's like, none of the straight people came out.
No. And that's a shame. I have a theory on that one. I think because they tried to sell it as a raunchy comedy, and I think that doesn't bring it. Like, if they had done it as a PG-13 comedy, I think it would have done way better, because I think people stayed away from it worried of what kind of raunch it was going to be.
Do people really stay away from the R rating anymore?
I
think for that for that.
Yeah, for that demographic and for that part of the country, or at least that demographic in the country, you've got people who are like, I don't want to see raunchy gay jokes.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, not fair, but you know what I mean.
But
like,
yeah, it's arguable.
Yeah. But let's see. The last thing that I watched. So, we watched Hocus Pocus 2. You laugh, but first of all, Halloween is my favorite time of the year.
Good segue into stuff I'm going to get into after Hocus Pocus.
I am a huge fan of Halloween. Like, bring on like the ghosts, the goblins, the dress up, the this, the that, the candy, all that stuff. Like, I'm a big kid when it comes to it, and I love it so much. Even going to Comic-Con in October, like that's for me, that's a Halloween thing. Like, people are gonna be dressed up, and so Hocus Pocus 2 came out, and Mel and I are big fans of the first Hocus Pocus.
Why? No.
Well,
Hold on. I'm asking this having never seen it.
Okay. Hocus Pocus is one of those movies that nobody saw when it came out. And then
I remember that.
It develops this huge cult following over the years, and now it's a staple. Like, you can't, Freeform will show it 4 trillion times during the month of October. I know for us, like producer Mal and I, we fell in love with the characters, the 3 witches, who are just funny, and they have great chemistry. They play well off each other. It's also a surprisingly adult Disney Channel movie, basically. They talk about only a virgin can light a candle. Like, it's very like Monster Squad almost.
Okay.
Like, people die in it. Like,
really?
They're trying to kill all the kids.
My mother tried watching it. She just got Disney Plus. She tried, because she watches Dancing with the Stars.
Right.
And it's on Disney Plus. And so she's like, I tried watching Hocus Pocus 2. I don't think I'm the audience for this.
So it's funny you say that, because there's always a challenge when you create something so long after the original. Like sometimes it really works, other times it does not. We've seen some good examples of the nostalgia factor working in favor and not. Spider-Man No Way Home, it really worked. Doctor Strange, not as much. So we were apprehensive about watching the new one because we did enjoy the first one. Like it is a Halloween staple, even around our house. Like we love putting it on. But so it felt like remember in the 90s where Disney just kept doing direct to video?
Aladdin 2, Aladdin 3. Yep, I remember.
Oh, like Little Mermaid 2, like a bunch of Cinderella 2.
I got those white shell cases around the house somewhere.
They just pumped out basically. It was the start of the home video craze. That's why. So they would make these really cheap sequels and then throw them out to the people to buy. It was a great way for them to keep the franchises going.
Most of them sucked.
Most of them, the Aladdin ones were pretty good, actually.
The Aladdin ones weren't bad. Yeah, I watched those.
Return of Jafar and King of Thieves. King of Thieves was solid. And Robin Williams came back for it.
Oh, that's right.
Because they had Dan Castiglia from...
from Homer.
Homer. He did the second one.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get... But Robin Williams was like, I'll come back for the third one. They had already filmed it, and it was done.
Aww.
He redubbed the entire thing. Well, nice for Robin Williams.
Right, nice for Robin Williams.
Paycheck,
poor everybody else.
Yeah. So this movie's coming out, and like we enjoyed it, but it felt like a 90s direct-to-DVD or direct-to-video even sequel. It wasn't bad, but it just, there's the first one, and then there's this one's there.
Okay. I think my mother only watched it because she saw Bette Midler.
That's fair. I mean, she looks great, Bette Midler. Yeah. Sarah Jessica Parker looked like she had some work done. And then the other one lost a lot of weight. Like for her.
Kathy and Jimmy?
Yeah. And she's always just funny.
Yeah, she's funny.
But there were plenty of moments in it that we laughed at and we enjoyed. And it happens.
Kathy and Jimmy's got to get those credits back up for Sister Act 3. I hear Whoopi Goldberg's looking to do that.
Again, we're in this wild time of just pure nostalgia. Like, look at all these things we can drudge up.
So speaking of nostalgia, speaking of October, and speaking of Halloween, I watched a show on Hulu called Castle Rock.
I've heard of it.
Okay, Castle Rock, if you don't know what it is, it's imagine fan fiction in the universe of Stephen King.
Oh, dear God.
So you've got like a lot of...
That's a lot to process right now.
So like a lot of things take place in and around Shawshank Prison. Spacek is in the first season from Carrie. In the second season, it's all... What's her name? From Misery.
Kathy Bates?
It's not Kathy Bates. It's her... It's someone else. Hold on. I go... Here, talk for a minute while I look
I
this
will
up.
definitely talk, and I will use words.
All right, here we go. Castle Rock. Well, the first season was sort of loose, and it just had like various references, and it wasn't any direct characters. Actually, Bill Skarsgård was in it. He played sort of a creature that was locked in the basement of Shawshank Prison and has like these powers. So very Stephen King-ish. But then like every once in a while you read like there's a newspaper headline about a dog massacring people, and like this car from Christine makes an appearance. It's like neat.
That's fun. I like stuff like that.
But Lizzie Kaplan was in the second season.
I have such a crush on her.
She does not do enough. I love her.
Yeah, I'm with you by that.
She plays Annie Wilkes, which is Kathy Bates' character from Misery.
Oh, okay.
And she plays her younger. And Lizzie Kaplan nails Kathy Bates so well. In fact, if you just stuck with season 2 just to see her, you would be fine.
Really?
Yeah, if you didn't do... Like, season 1, I loved it anyway. It was fun. It was good. Melanie Alinsky is in season 1. She plays someone who just hears what... Like, she's kind of a... empath and can hear and feel what other people are thinking and feeling. So there's like those sort of things. So it was kind of fun fan fiction.
I like it.
So being Halloween also, we're big into Stephen King, of course. So, I do. I'm like you. I love watching all my horror stuff now and everything.
See, I'm weird though with horror stuff. I don't like super scary.
I don't like
jump scares.
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of jump scares. Like I will say, I've never watched The Conjuring or
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, any of those.
I saw the first 2 Paranormal Activities. I was dragged both times. Once by the girl I was dating, and then the second time was by like a group of friends. No choices in the matter. And I hate the anticipation because I am not I'm not a, like, for me, when there's something that's going to scare me, I treat it like a threat, and I'm ready to punch something in the face super hard.
So you've been trained.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of jump scares. I'm also not a big fan of torture porn, like the Saw movies.
I liked the first Final Destination. just because I thought it was clever,
Yeah.
and
I've
it
never
was a
seen
terrible
any of
movie,
them.
but yeah, that's another franchise.
So this one, I have to say, comes highly recommended from me. It is called The Outsider. It is a Stephen King book. It was on HBO. It's on HBO Max. It's a 10-episode series, and it starts off starring Jason Bateman. He actually directed the first 2 episodes too, where there's a child. Now, this part is a little bit hard to take if you're sensitive to this, but try and stick with it if you are. It does start off with a child murder, and Jason Bateman several people accuse him, and they have evidence, they have video, they have fingerprints, they have DNA, all of these things around that he did it. So they arrest him. But then they find out that he was actually nowhere near the crime scene.
Okay.
That he was actually at he's an English teacher. He was at an English conference 60 miles away, and they have video of him there. So they're like, how can the same person be in 2 places at the exact same time?
Teleportation.
And there is a deep supernatural element to this show, and it's so cool. And as someone in law enforcement, you might appreciate this. It was a cop show of investigators investigating a crime that turned out to be supernatural, but yet all of the detective work was very grounded in reality.
I like that. I can dig it.
It was
I can
really good.
dig it.
And it ends, like, unlike a lot of other Stephen King stuff, it ends very, very well.
Oh.
Yeah, like it
It's
does.
always the ending of Stephen King stuff.
It lands really well and wraps up, and Ben Mendelsohn is the lead.
I do like him.
I love Ben Mendelsohn.
him.
He is such an interesting actor. So highly recommended. It's on HBO Max.
I'm also we just watched Werewolf by Night, which we're going to be talking about tonight.
We are. Check out our episode, which came out either yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't know if we're releasing on Columbus Day.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. And obviously, She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that.
That'll be a good talk next week.
Yeah. But we're going to take a really quick break,
Yep.
though, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about what Rob's reading and
And
drinking.
drinking.
But first, a quick break. Hey guys, it's Paul, and the Misfit Faction is looking for your help. We are trying to grow not only our network, but also grow our brands, and the best way to do that is if you guys are looking to start your very own podcast. Maybe you guys have been listening to us for a while. Maybe it's something you guys have always wanted to do, but you're not sure how to get started. If you go to podbean.com/misfitfaction, you guys will get a month of free podcasting on us. That is a gift from us. So make sure if you guys are looking to start your own show, you reach out to us and go to podbean.com/misfitfaction. Also, maybe you guys have your own online business or service that you're always looking to grow, and advertising is a very big part of that. If you guys go to sponsorship.podbean.com/misfitfaction, you guys can get $100 worth of free advertising, again, as a thank you from us to you guys. That's sponsorship.podbean.com/misfitfaction. All right, we are back, and during the break, speaking of horror, I found something terrifying outside my house.
And it was a jump scare.
Standing in the dark, smiling through my window. And that's Ronnie from the Multiverse Fancast. Ronnie, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty fantastic.
Oh, that's a really interesting way to
You
describe.
sold that.
Which is even funnier because we talked shit about Ronnie in the beginning of the episode. Hey. Yeah. But so Ronnie decided he would jump in on this conversation. And
I sat in. I didn't
well,
jump
he
in.
just
Yeah.
kind of sat down. But so, Ronnie, what have you been watching?
So actually, we finished. Me and my wife. We actually watched.
My wife and I. Sorry, grammar police.
Anyway, well, because I wasn't gonna
That
say
was
her,
Paul, not me, by
Yeah.
the way.
but we just finished watching the Jeffrey Dahmer
With
show
Evan Peters.
With Evan Peters, which was creepy and really good. And actually, we just started watching if you know me, to everyone's surprise, the John Wayne Gacy tapes.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
really.
all right. Now, hold on. I obviously know who John Wayne Gacy is.
Yes.
What are the John Wayne Gacy tapes? Is that a show or is that his actual stuff?
No,
or?
so there's tape recordings of him with his lawyer and everything, and basically it's like talking about, his upbringing and everything, and talking about the murders and everything that he committed, all about him basically. So we only watched 2, maybe 3 episodes out of it so far.
Where
so
is that?
It's on Netflix
Okay.
as well. And I mean, that guy, I think he was, he's one of the worst ever. I think he was worse than Dahmer.
Wow.
Well,
Because what makes Dahmer so bad was just the fact that he ate his victims.
Wow. There's
You
a
know,
lot of
what-
other
which-
things he did, too.
Well, yeah.
yeah, people tend to look down on that sort
Well,
of
yeah.
thing.
But, like, what this guy did was,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Well, was
'Cause-
Gacy child? killers?
No.
Wasn't he the clown?
Yes, he was the clown. Yeah, so it wasn't children.
Oh, but he didn't.
But it was just, it was, in a way, it was kind of like Dahmer, where it was
dudes.
It was guys and stuff like that. But
was that also in the TQ section on Netflix with Donk?
Casey
I don't know if you heard that story that Donk, they stuck Dahmer in that category, and everyone was like, "What the hell?"
Well, because he was.
Gacy murdered at least 33 young men and boys and buried 26 of them in the crawl space of his house.
Yes.
Yeah, he was not.
Tell the Dahmer one. And obviously, I've been hearing a lot about it. We've all been. A lot of my kids said they've been watching it and everything. I don't think I want to watch it.
See, I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like, criminology type of stuff, and I like a lot of like biopics and stuff based on history and everything. So I thought it was fantastic.
Does it go for 10 episodes okay, or does it get boring?
No, because it's good, because a lot of them, it's like based off of
a true story.
Like a true story.
Right.
And it's also like there was an episode kind of like about like the father's perspective. Then there was one about like the neighbor's perspective. So it wasn't just like all about him.
Yeah, I heard it doesn't follow chronology.
Yes,
that it's
correct.
sort of all over the place.
Yeah, it's like, it's about this one, then it goes to, victim, 10, and then goes to victim 2, and about the neighbor.
Spoilers, I think the first episode, doesn't he get caught?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the guy who got... I watched someone talking about it yesterday, so I know a little bit about the show. Yeah, because they showed the guy who got away, and that's who brings the attention.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like, this is what the end result is. Now we're going to go back in time, but it kind of like flips around a little bit. But it's easy to follow.
See, I like real life crime and stuff like that. Yeah. I've watched dozens of documentaries about that sort of thing. I prefer the documentary like with the actual footage instead of like, because in all honesty, I hate to say it because I know it's a big discussion. Right now, Evan Peters is getting paid money to portray one of the most notorious. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of idolization that happens to serial killers. Sorry, this is getting like really dark, by the way.
It's funny too because I was thinking all this and I'm like, no. In my mind, I'm going, no, don't say it, don't go there.
Yeah,
so that's interesting. You're bringing this up.
If people are interested in that sort of thing, the macabre, that's fine. Mm-hmm. I'll never judge anybody for it. True crime's a big thing. Serial killer documentaries are a big thing, but serial killers have often gotten huge fan bases. Like, I think they even show it in this movie that Dahmer got like $12,000 and people just giving him money.
Yeah. Well, and you can do like a Dahmer walking tour.
It's
in
wild.
Milwaukee.
Yeah. So for me, like, I don't like the idolization.
No.
And I know Evan Peters is a great actor, and I really do enjoy his work.
Does a great job.
Whatever Oscar buzz may come his way from this, cool. I don't ever want to.
Yeah, I have a similar problem with it where I feel like it glorifies it a little bit, but it puts the spotlight on the killer instead of the victims.
Yeah.
And that's always an issue.
This one, it does a good job of showing.
Oh yeah.
Like put a spotlight like on the victims because it. In a way, it talks like there was one of his victims, which was someone who was deaf, and it actually talked about like his story, like growing up, he wasn't born deaf. It was something that happened like later, a little bit later on. I forget. It was only like a month or two after he was born. But then it talks about like him struggling and like his family dynamic and everything like that. So it's not all just about Dahmer. So,
well, you remember the movie Alpha Dog, right?
Yes.
Because on the flip side of that, Alpha Dog, based off a true story, not only did they also get some of the actual people to be interviewed for it, but the mom watched the premiere. She went down there for the premiere, and she was a huge fan of her son's story being told. But yeah, so that's what we're watching.
Real quick, I almost forgot one more TV show. I saw Reacher.
Oh, how is it?
It's fun. It's like Alan Richardson is fantastic with it. He absolutely embodies it. They're actually doing season 2 right now. It's actually the plot was a way harder to follow than I thought it was going to be. It twisted, because it's Lee Child, I guess, and I've never read Lee Child, but I assume he's a good writer who really knows how to twist a story around.
Yeah.
And it was entertaining. It was gritty. Some good fight scenes. Yeah. Really, like I'd never seen the Tom Cruise Reacher stuff. But I can't imagine it's better than this.
It's the Tom Cruise one was good. Like it was good enough, but like he did not match the character in the book. Like Alan Richardson apparently
and he's even like 5 inches shorter than what they're describing in the book.
In the book he was supposed to be almost like a Dolph Lundgren type.
Yeah, he's
like
6'7" in the book.
Like a big Mama Duke.
Yeah. And on the show, he's the actor who's playing him is 6'2", but he passes for 6-7.
Yeah.
For us in our house, and I'm sure most of you guys can attest, trying to find time to watch, because we have to watch shows together.
Yeah.
Like, please do not tell my wife I
Yeah.
watch Werewolf by Night without her. But anyway, sorry, man. Mace the podcast is also joined. He has nothing to contribute to the episode, but he's here in
He
spirit.
brings nothing to the table.
He stands on the table.
I will say, as someone who's been married for 25 years, that is something that changes over time, that you don't have to necessarily watch everything together. But when she says, I want to watch this with you, then that's like, okay, I know we're watching this together. Are you interested in this? No. Okay, I'm going to watch this on my own then
Yeah.
at some point. Like it's more about the material than about the time.
That's fair. All right, so let's move forward. So reading. I'll go first. Nothing. Ronnie?
Actually, I am reading something. I was reading, and I actually just finished. Okay, so
A lot of
let
legal-
me go back. I just finished something yesterday.
Oh.
So
Breaking news,
so,
everybody.
Yeah, so technically I'm not reading anything right now, but I was reading Winning.
Nobody would have known. Like
What?
you didn't have to tell us. Like I'm reading Winning. Like that, we wouldn't have known. Even we would have been fooled.
I'm sorry.
What's-
Should I go back and say that?
No, I'll just edit it
I'm
in
still
post.
reading Winning, guys.
What?
It was
what's
a great
Winning?
book. So it was a book it's all about like mindset and everything. It's a book written by Tim Grover, who was actually like a personal trainer, coach for a lot of big athletes, and he started off actually with Michael Jordan.
Okay.
And his first ever client was Michael Jordan.
Winner.
Yeah. So it's about, developing a
It's all
winning
downhill from
mindset.
there.
It's in the
And,
title.
Yeah, he started with Michael Jordan. He's done work with like a lot of other basketball stars, and then he moved on to doing like a lot of developing like your mindset and everything with different entrepreneurs and everything like that. So it's like a, like one of those like self-help, self-development kind of books.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Rob. Only two.
Only two. I'll stick to two. I just finished this book. It's called The Comedians: Drunks, Thieves, Scoundrels, and the History of American Comedy. And it takes you through like everything.
That sounds like Ronnie's weekend.
It's like pre-vaudeville all the way up to present day comedy. And it's like the entirety of how comedy developed, all these comedians, the behind the scenes stories, like all what happens in the clubs. I loved it. I highly recommend this. It's the author's name is I don't have my glasses. Kilf Nesterov. He did all the research on this, and it's incredibly well documented too. Like there's just so many end notes in the back. And then I'm also reading, thankfully, with the season. I signed up for this. One of my students recommended this to me. I'm reading Dracula. And here's how I'm reading it. So
With your eyes?
no.
Front to back?
With my butt. No, Dracula is told I didn't know this, in all diary entries. It's all diary entries. So you get emailed the diary entry for that day, and it shows up in your inbox, and you're reading Dracula in real time. So I've actually been reading this since like end of June, beginning of July, all the way up to now. Because Jonathan Harker, he was a captive back then, in Dracula's castle and everything. And now it's October. I just read October 6th. There hasn't been an entry for the past 2 days, or no, there was one yesterday. So right now they're getting the last box of dirt that he brought over from his homeland, and it's neat to like travel with these characters as things are going and know how long things take, and know that when Van Helsing checks in and he's like, it's been 2 days since this, I'm like, yeah, it has been 2 days.
Yeah.
How'd you know?
It's almost like watching a TV show,
Yeah.
like where you gotta.
And
wait
I will say
a
I've
week.
never read Dracula before. I've watched Dracula. I've watched a few different
I've read Dracula.
iterations. Have you? It's
Yeah.
long. It's
It is
500
very-
pages.
And it feels like it changes books halfway through.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
And like I was amazed at how faithful the Francis Ford Coppola one was. Like that's pretty accurate for
Yeah.
it. But yeah, apparently they're going to do this every year where they email Dracula. So it's called Dracula Daily. It's a Substack, and absolutely sign up for it at some point. You can still sign up for it.
Word. All right, and last one. What are you drinking? So I'll start here because I had a terrible drinking experience this month. So it was my birthday at in the middle of September, and we went out to a brewery. It was myself, the missus,
You
Sean
have
from
more than one?
yeah, just the one
All the
missus.
misses.
Oh.
No. She might listen to this episode. But anyway, with Sean from Cinematic Adventures and his significant other, who's lovely. And for my birthday, they gave me all the alcohols. And for the first time, probably in 10 years, I threw up from just beer. Like, literally, just they kept handing.
Wuss.
Yeah. Oh, well, the brewery we went to, the beer that they did, I don't know what it was, but it was a light beer, but it had a higher alcohol content than one of the dark beers.
Do you
and I was
remember
like,
the name of the brewery?
I don't off the top of my head.
In Danbury, right?
Yeah, somewhere like that, but
Oak.
something with a tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Charter Oak?
But yeah, so I was drinking beer and now I'm not drinking beer.
Okay.
And I'm back to the wine because yes, wuss. I will own it because it was still a good night. Ronnie, what you drinking?
Right now, I'm drinking water.
What are you drinking?
Oh, like when I'm drinking.
Yeah,
drinking.
when you're drinking.
I actually stopped drinking beer.
Why?
So I stopped drinking beer just because I don't like being bloated from it.
Yeah.
You know, so
I get that.
usually my go-to lately, because we had me and my wife and I attended a wedding a few weeks ago, my cousins, and I had Tito's and Club.
Okay.
Tito's
and Club. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good
Tito's
one.
vodka and Club is like my go-to because it's a clear, nice, and it goes down pretty easy.
That's what she said. But anyway, and last but certainly least, Rob.
I have been drinking all today Dayquil. Because I have a really sore throat. I don't know if you can
Oh,
hear
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I took care of it,
Last night I developed some sort of a nasal drip and my throat is just completely torn up. And it's not COVID. I know that because Lauren had this last week. Timmy had it too. And I have it now. So yeah, I've been drinking Dayquil.
Thank you for being in my confined basement with me and waiting 42 minutes to tell me.
Guess what? I've been feeling like that for the past couple of days.
Yeah.
I'm just going to open a window.
Other than that, though, Lauren found this in our local place, Josh Sellers wine.
I like
It's-
Josh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never had it before, and it's got a nice crispness to it. It's chilling in our fridge, and every once in a while we have a sip of it. So
Yeah.
Nice.
Josh is one of my favorite
really,
wines.
I
Yes.
didn't know it was so well known.
Yep.
I'd never heard of it before this week.
We go to Carriage House over in Patterson,
Yes.
and the Cabernet that I get, it's either Josh or the house.
Oh, okay.
And Josh is $5 more a glass. So I usually get the house. Because not only am I a wuss, I'm also cheap. But anyway, so yeah, that's going to wrap us up for tonight. Don't forget, if you guys are looking for more content, make sure you guys check out our website, themisfitfaction.com. You can also find us on all the social medias like Instagram, Twitter. Rob's really good at the Twitter. I am terrible at twittering or tweeting.
I've twatted.
That's not the verb.
Oh, jeez, I'm sorry.
But you can also find us on TikTok, any social media. Just type in The Misfit Faction, MF Uncensored, The Misfit Faction Media Network. Odds are you'll find more of our content. So that's going to wrap us up for tonight. Thank you guys for listening. As always, I'm Paul.
I'm Rob.
I'm Ronnie.
You're late. But anyway, and we will be back next time.
Bye.
See ya.